Hi and welcome to DarkBASIC Professional tutorial number 5, basic collision and reaction. In this tutorial we will basically have a look at creating 3 objects on a screen, a ball and 2 pads, and literally just bouncing that ball between those 2 pads. Now don't expect real physics style reaction. All we're looking at here is basic object collision detection and then programming a response when that collision has been detected. So we're going to start off by creating a global variable. So typing global. Global basically ensures that all aspects of the program will be able to view this variable. It's not really essential for a program this small, but it's a good habit to get into if you know you've got a variable that you'll need functions and subroutines and everything else to access. So global move object as float. So obviously a float will be a real number, so it can be 0.1, 0.2, blah blah blah. We're now going to set move object to 1. The reason I created a float is because the move object command we'll be using later uses floats rather than whole numbers. While you can just specify 1 or 2, you can also specify 2.1, 2.5, etc. So if you want to tweak the speed later on, then you've got a far broader range of options to choose from. Okay, next we're going to set up the 3D environment. So sync on, sync rate 60, backdrop on, and a color backdrop 0. Sync on, as we all know by now, basically activates the sync command. So whenever sync is called, all visual data is displayed to the screen. Sync rate 60 means that the program will not sync the visual data to the screen more than 60 times a second. Backdrop on ensures there's no blurring. You don't have to clear any visual data off once it's been displayed. It will do it automatically for you. Color backdrop 0 will give us a nice black backdrop rather than the default blue. Next we're going to create a sphere. So make object sphere 1,25. Then we're going to set collision, so the program knows to check whether or not this object has been has hit another object. So set object collision on, and we give it the object ID of 1. Then we need to, well, we don't need to, but it's quite useful if you want to convert this into a Pong game and need more accurate collisions. With this simple program there won't be any slowdown, so we can get away with it here. So set object collision to spheres, object ID of 1 again. Now we're going to move the camera. Right, you'll notice that I haven't turned the auto cam off. So as soon as the object sphere was created, our scene camera immediately centered on that object and started viewing it. So what I'm now going to do is move the camera backwards by 200 units. So move camera minus 200. Then I'm going to rotate object 1. So rotate, object 1, 90, 0, 0. So it will now be rotated 90 degrees along the x-axis. This will ensure that when the object is moving, it's moving along the y-axis. So now we're going to turn auto cam off. The reason I'm turning auto cam off here is because we're about to create 2 new objects. If I create a couple of boxes now, then again the camera will immediately center back on those boxes. So the move camera command we have here will basically be nullified. It'll be pointless. So we've turned auto cam off now, so the camera will now stay exactly where it is. Now I'm going to type in make object box 2, 100, 10, 10. Position object 2, 0, 100, 0. This will create the top bar. Then we need to set object collision on object 2, so that when this object is collided with, the program will know to check for it. And we don't need a sphere for this, so we're going to set it to boxes. You don't really need to, but it's good practice so you know what's going on. So set object collision to boxes, object ID again. Now we need to create our second pad. So make object box 3, 100, 10, 10. Position object 3, 0, right, it's minus 100 this time because we're going in the other direction. 0, so this will now be placed at y negative 100, whilst box 2 is placed at y positive 100. Again, we're going to set up collision on it, so set object collision on 3, set object collision to boxes 3, then do and sync and loop. So before I progress any further, we're just going to run the program to make sure the 3D scene is as I intended it. There we go. So we now have the ball that's going to be bouncing from that pad to that pad there. So all we've got to do now is create the main loop of the program to do it. So we're now going to type in move object 1, move object. Remember, move object was set at the beginning of the program as 1. Okay, now we're actually going to do the collision detection. So if object hit open bracket 1, 3 close bracket equals 1, then move object, I need to set move object, not actually move object. So move object equals negative 1. So it will now reverse its direction. It won't be going positive, it will be going in negative. Then end if. And we finish off the program with if object hit 1, 2 bracket equals 1, then move object equals 1, and end if. So basically what's happening here is if object hit is basically asking, sorry, there's two commands. Obviously you got if, then you got object hit. Object hit basically detects whether two objects have been impacted. Remember, the ball is object ID 1, and our second pad, the lower pad, was object ID 3. So basically, when the ball hits the object with the ID 3, which is our box, it will then reverse its direction by setting move object to -1, which is then carried out on the next cycle. And then if object hit 2 or 3, then again it's restored to 1. So a very nice simple program, and if we run it now, you will basically see there we go, we've basically got a bouncing ball. Obviously it's nothing fantastic, there's no real-time physics or anything. All it's doing is detecting that it's collided with either of these pads and is then reversing direction. But this is the basics of all game. I mean, if a bullet hits something, then you basically need to describe to that bullet how it ricochets and what damage is caused. So I could also add a feature where I count the number of times it's been hit simply by increasing a value every time every time the object hit command comes along. So if I was to create a couple of variables, pad 1, pad 2, then I could increase them by 1 at each turning. So that's basic object collision. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial, and with any luck I will catch you soon.